All right, good afternoon. Happy Friday to everyone. Looks like I've got sound to OBS. Be good on that front. Did I click the start button on YouTube? Let's check on that. Looks like we did. Yeah, I think we're all set on YouTube. Okay. How's it going, Dave Odessa and Beata? Good afternoon to both of you. Need that. 1 second here. Let's close this also. Let's do something like this. Okay. All right. Okay, I think we're good to go. We gotta grab a drink real quick, some coffee. We'll get the show on the road. So hello to everybody. My name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. This is the Deep Dive program, which is a weekly live stream program where we are working on something down typically into the nitty-gritty weeds, so to speak, of CircuitPython. Sometimes we're working in the CircuitPython core, sometimes it's infrastructure around the project, like docs or automated testing or different things related to that. Sometimes it's libraries, sometimes it's projects. Just kind of depends week to week what is going on. This week we are going to be looking at some PRs. We're going to be doing some testing and some reviewing of some PRs. A couple of them are in libraries, a couple of them are in the core, but that's what we'll take a look at today. I should take a quick step back though, just for folks that might be new. If you've never caught this stream before, if you don't have any idea what the stuff I'm talking about is, you can learn more here at CircuitPython.org. This is the main website for the CircuitPython project. CircuitPython basically is an implementation of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. There's a bunch of pictures of those microcontroller devices over here on the downloads page. The basic idea of these devices is there is a tiny computer kind of inside the main chip on these devices. When you have these devices run CircuitPython and you plug it into your computer, it will show up like a thumb drive. There will be a Python code file on that thumb drive, which is basically just a text file, right? You can modify that text file with whatever text editor you want, and then save it, and the microcontroller will notice that it was saved, it will reset itself, and it will run the latest version of the code. That sort of central loop is kind of the core concept behind CircuitPython, using Python code to interact with these tiny computers so that they can interface with all of their I/O pins or with any built-in hardware peripherals that they may have, like keyboard keys or screens or knobs or LED matrix plugs or alligator clips, neopixels, sensors, like temperature sensors and things like that. Really any kind of little electronic doodad you can attach to these things. Lots of them have several of them built in as well. Like this device has got several sensors and a speaker and buttons and all kinds of stuff built into it. The common thread amongst all of these, while they do come in all different shapes and sizes, these little microcontrollers, the common thread for all the ones, of course, on this page is that they all support CircuitPython. So you can download CircuitPython and put it on all of these different devices. So that is the high-level look at what we're doing. If you want to get involved or learn more, a couple of places to head are CircuitPython.org, the main website. Also the Discord, if you join us over there on the Discord. Am I in the... Oh, no, okay, I had this one on the wrong... I see. There we are. Let me put that one up just so I don't get distracted by it again. CircuitPython.org, this is a good place to go. Discord is another good place to go if you want to get involved or learn more. adafru.it/discord, that will get you to the Adafruit Discord server. On that server, there are channels for CircuitPython development, as well as help with CircuitPython, as well as many other interests that are outside, beyond the scope of CircuitPython. But those are the ones specific to this, so head over there. And then last thing I'll say is CircuitPython, it's an open source project. Anybody is allowed to add CircuitPython support to a new device, like their own device. It could be a device manufacturer. It could just be a member of the community. It could be a user. It doesn't really matter. Anybody is allowed to add support to a device for CircuitPython. It's free of charge. You don't have to pay to do it. Your users don't have to pay to download it and actually run CircuitPython on their devices. All of that kind of stuff is all free. It's an open source project. There are licenses on GitHub that explain the details of the license. But the gist of it is that you don't have to pay to use it, which is really awesome. There is, however, a team of folks that gets paid to develop CircuitPython. There are some members of the team that are paid full-time to work on CircuitPython. There are other members of the team like myself who are paid part-time to work on CircuitPython. Adafruit, this is their website, adafruit.com. They're the company that is paying us to work on CircuitPython. So a huge thank you to them for paying engineers and developers and community moderators and members and community leaders and all of these people who come together to make CircuitPython what it is. Huge thank you, of course, to Adafruit for paying the folks who work on that, and huge thank you to anybody who purchases hardware from Adafruit, because by purchasing hardware from them, you are obviously helping keep the lights on, helping keep the Adafruit factory running, which is, of course, allowing them to keep paying people to work on the projects. How's it going, Spavlot? Good afternoon, my friend. Happy Friday. Made it through another week. Let me shuffle a few more of these around, and then we'll get the show on the road for real. First thing I'm going to look at is the Ethernet PR for folks that have watched my stream before, especially within the last maybe month or so. You probably have seen me work on this PR. It's been updated again, so we're gonna give it another test today. We're looking to get some output from the logs and share them back to this person who has been doing all this great work on it, Biffo Bear. So they've got a new commit in that I have not tested yet. So we will be doing that. We will let it get its logs. We'll save those off, and I'll post them back here for this person to take a look at so that they can see what is going on with this version. In order to do that, we are going to open up WizNet library. Let's go new window. Why do I have this changed? Oh, right, I added a print statement into here. Do I want to keep that? Yes and no. I kind of do, but I think we should pull from... we should pull first. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this code. I'm just going to throw it in like a scratch file just to keep for a second. I don't think we need any of that. I'm just going to throw this here, and we'll come back and we can copy it out of there later. And now I'll just revert this to go back to, so this line is what I added. Basically, we just want to get rid of that for now, and then we'll get the latest version of code from the PR. Except this is this on a pullable branch? It is, okay. Sometimes it's not actually a pullable branch. Sometimes it needs like me to add a remote or something, or usually what I do in that case actually is just use GH PR checkout again, even though I already ran checkout once. Since it can't pull, you can just run it again to get the latest one. Do many CircuitPython libraries have automated testing in the pipeline? I know it uses GitHub Actions. Good question, and the answer today would be no. Not very many libraries do have automated tests. We do use Actions for lots of stuff, including like Pylint and Black code formatting. So, those test the code in some ways. They test it for formatting, and they test it for, best practices. In the case of Pylint, maybe test is maybe not the right word, but they analyze the code, maybe is a better word. But not all of the libraries have automated tests. In fact, I think only a small number of them. This one happens to be one that does. Coincidentally enough, this one does actually have a couple of tests. I think Biffo Bear actually added these tests as they've been working on this library. They've added a lot of improvements to this library over the last several months or so. They have been working on this, and they've done lots of different PRs. This is just the current one. So they added a couple of tests here. I want to say there are a small smattering, maybe probably a dozen or less is going to be my guess. Libraries that do have automated tests. The vast majority do not. That's like a dozen or less out of, 300 or something like that. Like, actually say the number. It does not actually say the number on here, but I want to say the Adafruit bundle is a couple hundred at least. Like, is this? Well, this doesn't get you to there. This is a bundle. Maybe this will. Anyway, doesn't matter the exact count, but it is hundreds at this point. I want to say 200 or 300, truthfully. It would be all the things listed on this page, which is a big, long page, and then it would be all the things listed on this page as well. I think it's an even longer, big, long list. Unfortunately, there's no tabulation or anything, so we'd have to like copy-paste it out or whatever. But there's lots of libraries. Not very many of them do have automated tests, so I'll stop rambling for now and get back to it. Good question, though. Thank you. Yeah, for folks also, for anybody who doesn't know, like, I'm totally happy to answer questions in the chat. You can drop those in the Discord or the YouTube. If you have questions about what I'm working on or CircuitPython generally, or just anything you wonder about, feel free to drop those into the chat anytime. So we did pull the latest version. We're going to get this onto our device, which I need to plug in. Let's do that. Turned on the camera. I don't think I ever pulled it up here. Let's do that. I think it's got 226. Yeah. Screen, that will fail. We'll reopen it here. Refresh this. We can refresh this, and then we will fix the focus. It's pretty good for now. How's it going, DJ Devin? Good afternoon. Let's see. Pro tip, actually, you do need to plug in the USB cable on both ends. Yep. Gotta keep that one in mind. Let me, do I want this wrapped around here? This is like such a long cable. I suppose it doesn't matter. Okay. Both ends this time. Both ends. Now we're good. It's a little bit glary, isn't it? Coffee cheers. Iced coffee in my case. It's actually rather warm today. It's like 70 degrees outside here today, which is a bit unseasonably warm, but I will say, like, we have strange seasons, truthfully. Like, it's always usually warm for a week or two, even in the dead of winter around here. Like, the only thing consistent about our weather is the inconsistency, truthfully. Always swinging back and forth. How's it going, Paul Cutler? Good afternoon. If your USB cable has 3 ends, it's probably not the cable you want. That is the truth. That is the truth. Yep, we're doing some WizNet. We're doing a couple of different PRs. I think yours is in the queue as well, the requests one. I'm going to take a look at again today as well, because I don't think this will take the whole time. You just got to get the logs from it relatively. I think it should be relatively quick. I've been wrong before. Sometimes we get into it and more issues pop up than I'm expecting. But I don't think not thinking we're going to have too much in this one. I think we just copy our library in, grab our logs, and be pretty good after that. Where is... Oh, there it is. Okay. WizNet. I could probably get rid of this edited my network one. I suppose I don't need that anymore. Is that an Ethernet Featherwing? Yes, it is. This one is a Feather. So the microcontroller is a Feather ESP32S2 TFT, and the thing that it's plugged into there is a Ethernet Featherwing. Those are both connected just through a Feather doubler, which are super convenient, by the way. The Feather doublers and triplers, I think, are probably my favorite way to wire up circuits, just because you can don't really have to do any wiring at all. Like, once you just solder those headers, then it's just like stamp that right on top and press it in. Super duper convenient. Do we need this? This is, yeah, I think we'll keep this because we are actually gonna, that's an, ooh. One second, I'll be right back, sorry. Okay. Heard a crashing sound a little bit. Want to make sure we're all good there. Let's keep this one though, because Bitmap circle draw is another one I have in mind to look at today. So we're going to keep this Bitmap tools circle. Save that one there. How's it going, Paul SK? Happy Friday. Yep, thank you for the link. That is indeed the same advice we got. How's it going, C. Grover? Good afternoon and happy Friday. So we'll save that off, and then we can just take the simple test of WizNet. Drop that into CodePy. I already pasted the library. Oh, we will need to change this. We also want debug true. And we also do want to connect TIO so that we can actually see the output. Otherwise, we don't get to see the code, which just kind of defeats the purpose. In this case, we're trying to get the output there. So make sure we're set up there before we ever run anything. I think that should be all we need. If not, it'll fail and we can figure it out afterwards. So we'll save that. I am in REPL, so it's not going to run. I'm just going to go Control D to make it run. Okay, I deleted the old one, but did not paste back the new one, actually. Thought I did, but nope. Okay, so let's go back here. We're going to copy the library. Drop that into the lib folder on the device there. Planted seeds yesterday for starter pots. Not outside, thankfully, and this weekend we get a weather alert. Yeah, that's always my luck, too, if we get anything planted. You know, it's always like, you know, plant after the last frost or whatever, and it's like it's been weeks since the last time it was got, but then like you drop those bulbs in the ground and it's like a trigger in the universe to just pull the winter right back. Be like 2 days later and it's now frozen again all of a sudden. That'd be 4 as well. Okay, let's get this one. Should be printing out some stuff. I think the Ethernet cable is connected. We'll check. Fortunate, okay. Pretty sure the Ethernet is connected. I will check on it here in a minute. I make Ethernet logs or something? I don't know where I was saving these things. Oh, I meant logs. Well, okay, I mean, there are no lights, I guess, so maybe it's unplugged. Why would I have unplugged it? I'm pretty sure I just used it, like... Oh, I think I switched it back so that I could do something for work, actually. Speaking of which, we don't need this. Or this, actually. That one actually would have been even worse. Luckily, that's actually not a real activation link. Not that I should be showing it on the screen either way, but it is actually a fake activation link. That's all of the unrelated stuff that I have on the screens. We could close that too, I guess, actually, yeah. Yeah, well, and obviously this, we don't need it as well. And then. Okay, all right, BRB, I'm gonna check on the other end of the Ethernet here. I'll put this one up so we could actually see if the lights turn on when we're done. Those lights underneath there are not on. Underneath this thing, those theoretically should blink if it was actually connected, so it's not actually. Okay, indeed, it was not plugged in. But now we have a light under there. We don't have it. Oh, and we have blinking under there, so like it's actually sending and receiving information now. Let's try that again. We probably don't need to keep the log for that one. That one actually, everything went fine. Everything behaved as it was supposed to. It's just that I didn't plug it in, so what it was supposed to do is nothing. So in the old version, it did loop this a lot, and it looked like it was gonna go like super long. So I actually ended up bailing early a lot of the times, but this time it's actually like retrying a little bit quicker. So I think I'm gonna let it go, and I'm pretty sure it has a maximum number of retries of like 4 or 5 or something. So it should, after another 1 or 2 or 3 of these, it should, I think, just count it as failed. And then that's the log we can capture. If we need to, maybe we can cut out some of these. So this one's, okay, yeah, I was about to say, although this one doesn't seem like it's going, but it actually just gotta start talking about it. Got the Alexa in there or something, I guess. It knows when you're talking about it. These are interesting. I feel like that's different than what I saw last time I tested this, but actually 100% certain. What does this test do? So if the test succeeds, well, 1 second here, actually. Okay, it depends a little bit on how you mean. If you mean like, what does the code do when it succeeds? The answer to that is it's super basic. It will just like print the IP address it gets. It will look up the host name for adafruit.com, which is like just a test URL essentially. It will print out the IP address that it got from doing that DNS lookup. It will fetch rather some text from this remote URL right here, which just happens to have some text on it. And then it will fetch some JSON from this remote URL right here, which happens to be a Bitcoin price API that has JSON data in it. It will print all of that stuff out, and then it will say it's done. However, I don't necessarily care so much about the specific things that this is doing. Mostly what I am running this for is to determine if the current version of the library is working in my network environment or not. And And so we care way more about, like, did it succeed or did it fail than we do about the specific actual things that it's fetching and doing in this case. Yeah, the change in the PR is basically a refactoring of the state machine that handles the logic for DHCP, like when it gets its IP address the first time, when it does the renewals, just like all the code that handles that portion of the networking inside of here has been refactored with this PR. There are more details. It's kind of a long one, so I don't blame you if you don't necessarily want to read the entire thing, but there are some more details here about like the specific changes, which things changed, stuff like that. And the idea is that's a refactoring to like just make the code easier to understand and maintain, and potentially easier to test. On the topic of the automated testing, this refactoring could split out the components potentially to be easier to add those automated tests. I remember you talking about project that, oh, let me catch up here. I missed this one. Today I got running a script on the Feather ESP32S2 TFT displaying some virtual flight data. Nice. Got the heading and the altitude, which are broadcast by Flight Simulator X plane 12 using UDP datagrams. Nice. I had a similar script running on other devices quite some time ago on X plane 10 and 11, so a lot of alterations were needed. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, those flight simulators, I never have played too much with them, but I'm always fascinated by them, and I really love the folks who have like the setup that kind of makes it feel more like a cockpit, which it sounds like you're kind of adding screen outputs and stuff like that to kind of give it like the dashboard cockpit feel. So that's really cool. The new DVI feathers and HDMI. Oh yeah, that's true. Could have like an in-dash cockpit screen or something. Spend some time today with analog circuits, particularly refreshing knowledge about difference amplifiers with split gain and bias circuitry. Oh wow, I didn't even know anything about that stuff. It's used, let's see, this used to be stuff I could do in my sleep once upon a time. Yeah, it's crazy like that. I got stuff like that. Not those specific skills or knowledge or anything, but I definitely have stuff like that where it's like I learned it, and at one point it was just like automatic. I could do it, but I didn't practice and it falls away. Larger screens for waypoints, maybe the altimeter. Yeah, that'd be cool. Which one is the tilty one that shows the angle? That might be a cool one as well. Could show the horizon line like at the certain angle or whatever. I feel like we could probably cut some of the in-betweens out. Let's look at what it actually did here. So I do think maybe beginning, oh, that's interesting, beginning to receive, but then it just goes to socket available. And then it says receive 0 bytes. It's like it's failing to receive the response for some reason. Okay. One thing I do recall from doing these tests before is that I think my device sometimes it just needs to be unplugged, replugged, particularly when you've edited CodePy, I feel like is the case. So we're going to do that as well and get another log from a fresh boot. But actually, real quick, I'm going to go... just time.sleep like 3 at the very beginning. That way, when we reboot the device, it will wait 3 seconds before it actually does anything with the Ethernet, which will give TO, the serial terminal program here, time to reconnect so that we can actually make sure we see all the output. Okay, so I'm going to unplug, replug. It'll take it a second, but then it should notice it, reconnect, and then we should start seeing the program run like this. Yeah, there we go. Okay. We'll just let this go, see if it gets anything different or if it does the same thing this time. Oh, I think it succeeded because some of that stuff was data. Got actual responses this time. It did have to do a few retries, but then as part of them, it got actually some more data than it did last time. I wish we could convert this to not hex. How do we get this to be an IP address? Is that just like, well, but how would it know where the dots are at? Is that 174.61.51.152? Oh. We got IPv6. Hmm. Is it possible to do v4 specifically, or? Does this not say the IP? Doesn't it usually say the IP in here somewhere? I guess I could switch back to the currently released one, and then I could run the code and we could see if we got the same value. Let me catch up also on the chat here. Let's see, let me see. Altitude indicator, gyro horizontal sounds like a cool project. Foamy Guy, how do you know if it is a code issue since networks are often flaky? Very good question. I don't know for certain that it is. Yeah, I don't know for certain that it is definitely a code issue. All I know is that the currently released library works more successfully on my network than the new one in the PR. It could very well be that my network is flaky, and frankly, it is very well the case that my network is a little bit flaky. And just weird, honestly, I think. and it could be the case that the code like should not necessarily handle it, but it is the case that the currently released one does. And I will be totally upfront too. Like, I don't really know that much about the particulars of DHCP, or really any of that type of like the nitty gritty details of it. So I definitely cannot say for certain one way or another that it is or isn't like a code issue or anything else just weird with my network. Yeah. So we're not, I mean, I would say basically the highest level answer is just I'm not necessarily trying to be 100% sure if I know it's an issue with the code. Right now, I'm just trying to collect the data, collect the information, the logs in particular, and give them back to the person who's working on it, because that person actually knows way, way, way more about it than I do. So I think they are in a much better position to be able to determine what the logs actually mean than I am. About DHCP for my project in the X-Plane 11, I had to switch off DHCP in order to give that feather a static IP. Negative result is that pinging Google results in an error -2. Oh, that's interesting. It's an int. Okay. I think you meant the IP. Maybe not actually. Static is always better for stuff. Well, I imagine the rig isn't portable, so it doesn't need DHCP. Yeah, static is nice also if you want like other stuff to hit a server on that device or whatever, because then you can just hard code the IP that you gave it. Sometimes that might be counterintuitive. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. It drives developer nuts trying to do the network troubleshooting. Yeah, then had to change the IP that it broadcasts to. Yeah, static is really good for that. That way it will always stay on the same IP that you can hard code. Yeah, I've come a long way, certainly. I still definitely defer to the expertise of Biffo Bear and other folks for sure. So I really thought this told you the IP address. Does that not? How can I find the IP address of a site? Like, dig? I've been to here before, but I do not recall this at all. Dig server name type. None of those look like IP addresses. Oh, just kidding. That's definitely different. Dotted decimal is just a convenient way to display a 32-bit int. How do you... How do you know what the IP is, though? Like, from this, is this saying essentially... Is this saying this would be the IP? Or do I still need to be doing some kind of conversion on that in order to get from the full plain number to the dotted one? Let's see if we get the same thing. We redo it. Save that. Dude. Let's see here. You can use NSLOOKUP or dig. Yeah, thank you. Dig I did end up with. I'll have to learn NSLOOKUP, but I'm not familiar with that one. That sounds helpful as well. Hex IPv4, each 2 nibbles is 1. Okay, so yeah, we need to convert those differently than I actually did. Shame that one place where it printed, it didn't print converted one, honestly. That would have been super handy. Is there a, I mean, is there a tool online? That'd be nice not to do it by hand. Gotta love random JavaScript pages that just do conversions for you when you're feeling lazy. That is the same, I think, right? Okay. Yeah, there's two. I don't know why there's a, I guess, I don't know what that's about. There's two, but this is one of them, so good enough for me. So it did succeed to get the DNS lookup. I think it did then go on to fail doing the actual requests, because it never did print like the text that's on that HTML page that it loads, or I think it has HTML in the file, but it's actually just plain text. And it never printed the Bitcoin thing either. But it did get the DNS lookup, which is farther than the one before it got. And then the new one, I think, failed the same way as the first one, which is that it did not succeed the DNS lookup. If it retried, how many times it retries, and then it just failed. Or then it, just accepted that it failed, I should say. It failed every time. It retried and then gave up. So that's basically the same as this, so I don't think we need to copy that in again. I'm curious, I'm going to do one more. Whoa. I don't know what I did. I don't know where those equal signs came from. Paste mode? Is it Control E? I think I've learned about that before. I don't know what it does. I should say, I think I have learned of its existence before. I don't think I ever learned what it does. Thank you, by the way, Anecdata, for help on the IPs. You can split it into 4 pairs of hex and then convert those one by one. Yep. And Google.com should work too. I did do a ping, but it showed me IPv6s instead of v4. I don't know if there's does ping, is there a command you can, an argument that you can use to force it to do IPv4 maybe? Thing about CDNs is they can change. Yeah, no, I don't necessarily need to know the IP for any length of time. I mostly just wanted to see, was the number that the Feather got the same as the number that my PC got right now? It could change tomorrow, it could change an hour from now, it could change anytime, but just right now I was interested that it get the same answer, and it did. It seems like it was hex. Didn't quite convert it yet, but it did have the same answer. So now we did fail to the same thing. So I'm going to try an unplug replug again. My hypothesis is I'm thinking we probably come back up and we probably get the same partial success. That's kind of what I think will happen. Because that's what happened last time I did an unplug replug. So let's give it a try. Maybe it'll get farther. That'd be cool. Maybe not. Maybe it'll do the same. If it does do the same, then I think we are ready. I will basically just take the 2 logs that ended up being relevant. The unplugged log was on me. I just had it unplugged, so that one doesn't matter. But I'll take the 2 other logs, the one sort of partial success and the one failed after 3 retries, and we'll upload those in the PR for Biffo Bear to look at. Yeah, this time we got the same thing. We made it to the exact same spot, it looks like. We did get our own IP successfully. Technically, we did successfully complete the DNS lookup, although we didn't convert it yet. That's fine. Then on the next line of code or whatever, wherever this is at, that's where we failed, and that's the same error that we got last time. So it seems like right now the state that we're in with my device on my network with this version of the library is on a fresh boot up, we can get to this where it has a partial success. But then if we reset after that, we get to tried, I think it's 3 times and then failed. And we could keep resetting and we would keep staying on tried 3 times and refailed. But we can unplug, replug in order to get back to the partial success. I did do one more reset here just to try to like validate that a bit further. As somebody mentioned earlier, networks are flaky. It's kind of it's hard to trust that what you're seeing is actually consistent. I think we've seen it maybe three or four times at this point, so we're on the track to consistency. But networks have a funny way of making you think stuff is consistent and then showing you later that it's not. Control E, paste mode. Paste mode is multi-line for indents, so they won't mess up. Okay, Control C to get back out. That must be what I did. I think I pressed Control D, but I fat fingered the E. You know what else is interesting? In the partial successes, I feel like it's doing the retries. Maybe it's not, though. Maybe I misinterpreted what it said. Yeah, no, here's one where it did a retry. But I feel like the retries, they either fail or succeed so much faster, right? Like, this one we failed after 3 retries, and these strings of these long things are much longer than the strings that we got on the partial success. Like, this one was our fail and then retry. Whereas in these, we are getting like hundreds of lines, feels like. Oh, maybe not hundreds, I don't know. Does this tell me how many lines? Not really. Copy it, paste it. It doesn't really matter the exact number, though. It feels like more. I think it is more. Okay. I will say also not only hug report to Anecdata for, I think David also maybe said too about converting those X things, but also I should say hug report to browserling.com, who has JavaScript converter for us to use so we don't have to do it manually, which is super nice. So that might have to do with DHCP reservation. The router will actually reserve an IP for a certain amount of time. That is true, but I think it's not. I mean, I think the reservation should be staying the same in between my 2 different trials here. If I was testing like over a day or 2 or something, definitely I think it could be changing. Like maybe it would get a different IP, or maybe it would have to like explicitly renew or something rather than just still having it. In my case, though, I'm pretty sure that it's like always ending up on the same one, and I don't necessarily think there is anything on that side that would account for the difference in how long it takes to fail, because it's like it's always getting these 0 bytes. Receive 0 bytes there. It could be, though, like I said earlier too, like I do not know all of the specifics of the DHCP process and all this stuff. It's all like basically a black box to me, pretty much, honestly. Um, Okay. You can always fudge the MAC address. Oh, that's a good point, too. Yeah, I could change... Yeah, that's true. I could change the MAC address, and then it would get a different IP. Then we could force it to basically be treated as a new one. That is a good point, yeah. Correction, ping's not working. Nice. It's always happy. Yeah, you find something you think was not working, and then give it a try a little later. There's a Half-Life. The old Half-Life source mod. I have an Ethernet featherwing at home because of you. Since it's a few weeks, I soldered it, and it's next to a feather doubler, but I have not powered it on yet, nor connected the cable. Nice. Yeah, Ethernet's pretty handy, honestly. Like, I'm always like, I do work with Android devices, and I'm always trying to lobby for people to use Ethernet instead of Wi-Fi. Like, the devices we use support Wi-Fi, but I'm always telling people that Ethernet is a lot more reliable. Because you can see, like, our system allows me to see when the devices are online and offline, and you can just see, like, looking at that history chart, you can just see the Wi-Fi ones spend a lot more time offline than the Ethernet ones. Ethernet ones are, like, solid green all day, every day. They're offline for, like, 30 seconds while it reboots, whereas Wi-Fi ones are just, like, every few minutes or every few hours, they pop off and then back on. My network does that on some of these devices as well, which is where I was saying earlier, my network is definitely a bit on the flaky side, I think. That makes it good for testing, actually, though, because it's like, whatever weirdness is going on is super weird, and if we make our code handle it, then surely we'll be good for less weird stuff, too. Okay, I think we're good on that. We're going to circle back to Steam API hug reports to DJ Devon on this one. This is a new example in the request library, which prints out the number of time, I think, is it hours or minutes? I don't recall the units, but it prints out the number of time that you, oh, both actually, it looks like. Well, no, hours, days, and then monotonic, I guess, would be seconds maybe, or not sure what the well, maybe that's probably just current time, actually. Time.monotonic, that's probably just current time. But it prints out the amount of time that you have been playing games that are inside Steam. So, fair warning, before I run this, my number is kind of large, so just be aware, don't be shocked, make sure you're seated and ready for whatever number comes out of this. Also, in defense of myself, at least one of the games that I have played through Steam, I have left running idle, like let it run while I was not actively sitting at the computer for many hours, sometimes days on end. which also artificially increased the number of hours that I've played. So just keep in mind, whatever number we see, is going to be kind of large. That doesn't mean that I literally spend my entire life playing video games. But I do like video games, and video games do make me happy, I will say. Video games, I would say, are definitely my, like, my unwinding activity. Like, get my mind off of work or just chill out for a little bit to relax. Like, video games are definitely that for me. Lots of different ones. I think if we... I don't know if I have the remote on this one. I love the backpedaling, yeah. I saw this topic was testing related. Had to show up. How's it going, Ask Patrick? Nice to see you, my friend. We need TLS HTTPS on the Ethernet. I would agree that'd be super cool. That'd be super cool. Oh, nice. There's your the heading from the flight simulator. That's awesome. I love using the feather. I love using these TFT feathers as like little quick, dirty kind of HUD output for other stuff. I was using it for that on the sequencer as well that DJ Devin made. I just tacked on one of those feather TFTs to be kind of like a external-ish display for that system. Like it was external in that it was its own microcontroller, but I just set it right alongside it. It was hardwired and everything. So I don't know if this is gonna update though. Yeah, it's not going to update. So this is what I was talking about before when we don't have a remote or whatever. In the Git repo, like technically the branch we're on, I guess, doesn't have a remote, which is weird because it knows DJ Devin 3, so like it kind of knows the remote, but not enough to actually pull. So we're going to go GHPR list. We're going to go GHPR checkout 129. If I recall correctly, I did test this out before. I think all we're looking for on this one was to see the documents, like the comments to update. If I recall right, I think that's all I said before, right? Code and functionality look good. Be nice to have, yeah, comment about the Steam API key, the user account. So we'll check on those, and then we'll rerun it. Try not to have our socks blown off by the number. Change URLs. Yeah, that's true. It's fine sometimes though, where you go to the page and it's changes over time. Pilot Black, I think you got it figured out eventually though. Yeah, the dollar amount would also be scary for sure. Okay. So this GHPR checkout, that will update it, right? It doesn't matter that it doesn't have a remote or whatever. This is still able to update it. It's cool. Yeah, this tells us where to get these things now. Where do these comes from? Right. Steam ID, Steam API key. Okay, cool. User number. Click on the profile. Will be in the browser URL. Oh, I accidentally left this scrolled. 1 second. Having other projects take priority. Has some other soldering to do. Guess because of who? Hours or days, yes. Monotonic is the board time, okay. I'll protest too much, maybe a little. So that the callbacks I know are on different timestamps. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. Have it print the current time so you know it actually did something this time. What I like about the TFT feathers has enough memory space. That's true, yeah. It does. That thing does have a huge memory footprint compared to some of the others. That's true. I was pleasantly surprised by that when we were doing some of the flip clock stuff. I was able to do some like really large sprite sheets. Wish I could hang around a bit longer, but I have to go now. Thanks, Tim. Good night, all. Yep. Take it easy, Dave Odessa. We'll see you next time. Hope you have a nice night and a nice weekend and all that. I copied this, but never actually put it in the browser. Here, and then I think I'd have to log in, which I'm... Okay, I'm actually logged in. Surprisingly, that paused my music at the exact same time. It's really weird because it was unrelated, but there we are. And then the number is up here. So yeah, hopefully nobody is going to do anything too nefarious with my Steam number. API key we don't want to show on the stream though, so I won't show that one. I will open this URL. Check. That's the page where it's at, but I'm going to do that over here in case it does show. Which it does, so I'm glad I did that. Perfect. My user number is not that. Did you click... maybe it's to do with profile private would be my only guess. Oh, try... Okay, yeah. Try that. Go to just the base one, steamcommunity.com, without the slash anything. So just the base one by itself. And then click on the drop down here. So you do have to be logged in for that. Mine, I think, was already logged in, even though it didn't show it at first, but it auto did it without me actually putting it in afterwards. Then click view profile here. That is when mine redirects to slash profiles slash, and then that ID there is the number. This is interesting though. Yours is Steam Community, so it's like slash. It's basically the string one instead of the ID one. It's kind of interesting. I assume you could do that with all of them, right? Oh, no, not me for some reason. Weird. Kansas? Oh, there's a thing where it can be named instead of a number? That's it in the URL. Ah, I did not know then how to do it that way. I've never done that. You could try just putting the name instead of the number there. I don't know for sure if that will work though. That depends on the IP. I gotcha. If you happen to find it, would you drop a comment in like an issue on this? Because it'd be great to put a different, like wherever it can show up. I don't know what other places it could be. Oh, that's weird. Okay, fine. Apparently we were logged in. Apparently we've been logged in long enough. I don't know. Logged me back out for some reason. If you happen to find it though, if you leave a comment, we can add it as a we can add it as another comment here. For now though, this is fine to keep in and leave as what we have for now, because if you have not done that conversion to make it a string instead of a number, then this will be at least how you find it, which is better than nothing. Did this page? Let me look at this page. Does this page have a number? That would be kind of convenient if it did, but I don't actually think it did. No, just the API key. I don't know why they make the API need the number. I mean, maybe it works with the name too, though. That's the other thing I did not try with Foamy Guy or with anything other than the number. I only went and found the number and tried that. Okay. Yeah, I think those are both good. One thing I do need to do though is I need to check my settings file, which I need to do over here. I have a settings file? It's weird. I guess previously I must have been testing on a different device. All right. Unfortunately, that means I need to create it And unfortunately, I can't show it, so you'll have to look at my other screen for a minute here. Show you this part, settings toml, I think, is that right? But yeah, we can't really show you anything else, fortunately. Is it in here somewhere? Is there a guide that shows, like... Okay, these are just key value. Just looking for slightly different things here. Pop out to its own window. It does. Sure, we're actually showing what I think we're showing. Which means I do actually need to get these again. Oh. Does it have quotes on the strings in this thing? Which makes sense, I suppose. I don't remember if I did this one as a string. I guess probably, right? Oh, okay. Whew. Just about loaded in the wrong browser. Not a bad idea. Okay, save that, close this. It's back. This back into it? Back in here? There we go. Boom. Only 5,300 hours. It's not that many. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me catch up on the chat now because I had the settings toml on top of this. Different methods. The API URL would be different. I gotcha. Seems like if you're advanced enough to personalize the URL, you could probably find the ID. I would hope so. I will say the Steam is like... Some of the Steam pages get pretty gnarly sometimes. Found an external page that got it. Nice. So there must be like an API that's a lookup that will take the username as input and then give you back the number. And that extra page must be using it, I'm guessing. The thing in the Steam interface. Steamfinder.com. Nice. This was the username is unique. Oh, it can. Oh, okay. The usernames aren't unique. I did not know that. I guess that makes sense though. 1 second. Let's get this. I don't know if it's anywhere in the normal UI, maybe in the prefs app. Okay. Okay, Yeah, that seems good to me. And we can always update it later on if we find another place to find it, or if there is in like extra credit. Super awesome would be update it to where it can do either, but it would have to know the other API, and it would have to parse the response differently or whatever it needs to do. So it's like that's definitely not required. It would be pretty sweet. But I think what we got now is definitely better than what we got before, and that is what we're after. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. It's definitely not secret. Definitely not like the API key. I mean, it is literally, I think, just an ID to the database, honestly. Just a number that represents your account. Got the hiccups. Whoa. I don't know where the D went. For some reason, it stuck with the J in DJ Devon and then moved it to J Edgar, John Ed, like JP. I'm pretty sure I did DJ, so I don't know why it threw away the D there. Let's see. I think that is going to be a minor one, right? Because this does not change functionality at all. It's no new features. It's just a new example. So the library code itself did not change at all, only the examples. So we're going to go 113.1, which will be a minor release number above the last one. .1 Steam API example. 113.0, 113.1. Originally had both, but it also means adding both the username and user number in settings, Tommel. I mean, it could be technically either one. It could check for them or something. It does get more complex at that point, though, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think as long as it's out there somewhere, as long as there's like maybe we could. I don't know. I do hesitate a little bit to point to that third party, that Steam Finder or whatever, Steam ID Finder. I hesitate a little bit to point to that, but I mean maybe we could. I like that might be nice. I don't know though. Truth be told though, I like. Even if these instructions do not work for 100% of everybody, like I said before, I think having something that works for some people is better than nothing that works for no one. So I think we're at a good state now, and we can always improve into the future if we want to. So this one, I'm just going to test again the functionality. And then I'm pretty sure everything else is all set, if I recall right. And approved. I think let's just double check changes. I'm pretty sure though, like changing x0. Yeah, so those are xy there and they're xy there. Yeah, that was the main thing. That might have been the only thing actually I asked for in my review, at least. Yeah, I was talking about this that turned out not to be related. Yeah. Oh. Oh, yeah, it's the same thing, though. And then I just commented on this one as this one does not belong to a branch. Oh, I do think actually we can. There's one more change maybe we should make. I think there might be a better way to do these checks here. Nparg validate something. We used it on the args display args validation PR that I was just getting into like a couple weeks back. And I will like the functionality is the same. The functionality does not change here. The thing that makes these ones better is that they have their own built-in error messages. And the reason why that's advantageous is because, so like this right here, there's two different strings here, right? Like this is a string. Technically, this is the same string. I don't know how that works if they're duplications. So we'll call this two different strings. I know there's actually three here. I'm not sure if the third one counts or not since it's actually the same as this. But even with the two different strings, what this means is that this string has to exist and get translated inside CircuitPython. So then ideally we have the English one here. We would also have all the other languages by the time it gets translated. And then we have to have the same thing for this string also. But if you use this, other thing, where's the one I was, yeah. If you use this other thing, it has its own kind of built-in error message to where we don't have to spend any extra space inside the core. We don't have to spend any extra space to store those additional strings. Which does actually, like on a few of the smaller builds, that does actually make a difference because there's a couple that are, I think, pretty close to the line. I suspect most people don't have custom. I don't even know if it's a feature that's offered still. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I had never seen it do that before. It's interesting that they would have offered that too, though, because it's like it always had a username, right? Like I've always had, username Foamy Guy, just also has the ID associated with it. It's interesting they allowed you to like kind of use either or if you did that. Like someone knows they need to find their number, they can find it. Yeah. Okay. So basically the other thing that's nice about it, which it doesn't really matter that much, but it is nice because what you can do is you can take this entire if statement, which is 3 lines of code, you can actually get it down to only a single line of code. I know lines of code is not the end all be all or whatever, right? But in this case, it does actually collapse, which also ends up saving a bit of space, I think, in the core. And so this one is saying, is it between 0 and the destination width? This one is saying, is it between 0 and destination height? And this one is saying, is the radius greater than 0? Why do I keep losing the tab I was just looking at? So there's validate range, and there's also validate int min, which you can do to do like minimum 0 or minimum 1 or whatever. I'll test this out again still though. Just the URL. It's like saying I own the username. Not steal. Trademarked my Steam name. Let's see. Oh. Circle bitmap 7782. I think we might as well just build for the same device we have. Hopefully we don't run into any issues. Export. Oh, right. Dot space. Fair enough. Okay. Ready. Okay. Okay. BRB. Unfortunately, I'm not going to make it for another 30 to 40 minutes. I got to run to the restroom, and then I'll be right back, and we'll do this build. So BRB. Okay, we are back, and I will say, fair warning, before we start doing builds of CircuitPython and stuff, I have been fighting against some computer trouble, and unfortunately the kind of computer trouble that it is sometimes leads to my computer freezing, which if it freezes during a live stream, that means that the live stream will also cut out and become frozen or broken in some way. So we are going to try to make some builds. I'm going to hope that we either just don't run into the problem, or if we do run into the problem, it's not bad enough to actually freeze the whole computer. Hopefully it will just maybe print out an error message or something. And in that case, we can just try again. So fingers crossed, do whatever you like to do for good luck. Wish me some luck, and we're going to try to make some builds. And as long as my computer wants to cooperate, then the stream will keep going and we'll all be good. But if I do disappear, just know that's probably what happened, especially if I like start making a build and then it's working for a few seconds and then like suddenly everything cuts out. Probably what happened is my computer froze. And in that case, I'll try to get it rebooted and get everything back up and running and try to come back for the rest of the stream. But it might take me a few minutes, obviously, to get back up and running. So again, fingers crossed. Hopefully that's not going to be a problem we're going to run into, but just in case we do, I want to mention it so that you guys know. If I do cut out, that's probably why. I should, well, no, we're probably not allowed to use that music, are we? I say that'd be pretty funny to put that as the stream music, but should we do clean? I don't know if the last build I made would have been for this or not. I don't know if it matters that much either, truthfully. Oh. Wait. This didn't check out. Did not check out? Did not check out. Did this not check out? Filter and get X to status 1. What does that mean? Rejected? I'm just going to delete this, I guess. Okay, fair enough. Did not like, for whatever reason, it didn't want to go back to that branch that existed. We had to delete it, and then we could get to there. So is that... is it going to have the newest stuff, though? Let's look for one of the latest things. So the... one thing that's in the latest one is XY as the argument names instead of X1, Y1. So that's going to be shared bindings, bitmap tools, knit, draw, circle. Yep. XY, XY, XY. No zeros. It used to be X0, Y0. Okay, so we're definitely on the latest version. Okay. Definitely got our update. Did I copy paste something else? Probably, right? Fingers crossed. I'm like legitimately keeping my fingers crossed the entire time this build runs. I feel like it used to output more stuff. I wonder what's going on. Because another thing is, honestly, I feel like it usually revs the system enough that I can also hear the fans. So it's going. Just, oh, you know what? I have the actual fan in the room on, which is adding like white noise. That's why I didn't hear the fans rev up, actually. A little bit louder than normal. Well, not really normal, just than it is without the other fan on, and today is the only day that's been warm enough to turn on the room fan in like several months. Anyway, we got a successful build. It didn't crash. It didn't freeze. We didn't get any segmentation faults. It worked. Fingers crossed. Thank you to everybody who did their own little good luck charm, because we made it through. And I am convinced it's because of all of you. We want to go to the bootloader mode. We want to copy this firmware, which we just created, cp build, whoa. Firmware. This to media, tmc, featherboot. I think I kind of do like it in the settings toml as well. Personally, I'd probably leave it there. Since you have to get the API token as well, and the API token definitely should be in the settings toml. And then if you're gonna get two things, I think it makes the most sense to put those two things in the same place. The string, like, it wouldn't be worse, really, but I think the consistency is nice. You know, we'll just copy paste them both into that same spot. Okay, this ran, this printed, which means we're back up and running. We will close out of this. We will take this. Let's just go for now, print this. Let's just do something like that. Okay, should just print. Yeah, very good. Map circle. So then what do we have in here so far? This is drawing a circle. In particular, right now, it's halfway off the edge. One edge, I don't know, the left edge, maybe? Is that covering the code? Kinda, huh? Should I go the other? I should probably go the other way, right? Is this better? Nah, not really. Guess if we do that, I gotta remember the right edge. I have to remember to pull stuff further to the left. It's better like that, though, I will say. Okay. Says use build verbose to output everything. Yeah, I did V1 instead of V2, which is less than V2, I think. I just feel like it didn't print as much as I was used to. It seemed to wait for a while before it started to, but I don't know. Takes it a minute. I've gotten a little spoiled by how fast this computer does do things sometimes. Oh, out of range of target. Out of range of target? That's from the new check, though. Yeah, because it's less than 0 now. Doesn't mean you can't draw them on the edge. You did used to be able to. I think. I could be misremembering. I'm pretty sure we did have this one drawing on the edge, though. Get it back to the center. Radius. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I don't want that big. Just do 30. There we go. Oh. Oh. I was like, why is that not in the middle? That's why right there, though. Okay. You know what's interesting, though? In the picture, didn't Jose post a picture with... Yeah. Oh, I know why, though. It's because you can still draw it. Okay, you can still draw it halfway off. What you can't do that you used to be able to is you can't draw it... You can't draw it, like, either less than... Yeah, less than, I think. You can't draw it less than half off. You used to be able to scoot it further out so that it would be like less than half of the circle showing. So this is showing like a little bit more than half. And you could basically get it to the exact 0. But what you can't do is go negative anymore, which would have allowed you to push it even further outside the bounds, which would have had the effect of basically taking that circle and pushing it further off of the screen. So you could go like 1 here, and then this would scoot it 1 more pixel down in this orientation, but it's obviously left in the orientation that it's actually working in. Okay, that's how those ones got to the edge, fair enough. I would have been fine with allowing them to draw outside, but I'm also fine with not allowing them to draw outside. I don't feel super strongly either way. Keep it as is, thank you. Just my settings are starting to get larger with every API. Yeah, that's true. I use them all in one project. It's a weird page. It doesn't have conversation. Let's draw a few more. Oh, did we ever do a fill near the edge? I don't recall if I did or not. So I'm just gonna go like 2 with 3. If that works, it's gonna draw 2, which is green, as the outline, and then it's gonna fill it with 3, which is blue. Nice. It does work, even though it's on the edge. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if the fill would be happy with the edge there. Looks like it is, though. Let's do a couple more circles. Three-quarters. I don't... This one might need to be -1, I'm not sure. Out of range, yeah. Being tiled. Well, I think he just has a for loop that drew it a bunch of times. Didn't actually look at the code super close. Yeah, it just has a for loop that's kind of looping over the pixels in the screen. Okay, so we do have 2 greens, a blue, and a yellow right now, which makes sense because we have 2 of them on 2, which was green. 4 must be yellow. Indeed, okay. Yeah. That's looking pretty good to me. Oh my gosh, so many browser windows. Oh, camera just died. Top down camera. Isn't being able to draw things off the screen useful? Or am I misunderstanding? I mean, you can still draw it partway off the screen, and I would say, like, yes, I think it can be useful. Yeah. And you can still go halfway. You just used to be able to draw it a little bit further off the screen than you can now. And like I said before, I don't necessarily have a super strong preference with regards to that. It is an open PR, though. If anybody who's watching does have a super strong preference, you could leave some comments in the PR. Focus. Where is the camera? So many brands. How do I want to word this? Are you kidding me right now? Okay. Dude, seriously? It played a commercial, and then immediately after the commercial, that's when it chose to say, like, are you still watching? Like, gonna do that before the commercial? Are you serious? Is this going to show all 3 lines? I don't know. I should probably just do the top one. Maybe the middle one, I guess, since it also replaces this line, actually. This one's slightly different. Instead of validate range, it's validate minimum or something. Catch up. Why not add some inline comments to color values so you don't have to guess, or they could be variable names? Yeah. If it were anything more than a super duper basic example, I would probably do something like make variables like this, and then these basically represent the indexes here. and then you would be able to use it like this, and then you would get the right color out of it. It would make the code more clear, but it's only 30 lines of super duper basic sample code. Honestly, we don't even need all the colors. I could have gotten by with only 1 or 2 colors. I just made extras for some reason. I don't even really know why. Very handy when using scale for moving objects slowly past the screen edge. Yeah, it's definitely really good for like that sort of like sliding animation if you want to make it like fly on the screen or something. Is popping them if they're going to be off screen preferable? Well, so with bitmap tools, with the thing that we're doing here, it's important to understand these circles. There's not an object that represents this circle. The bitmap that this is inside of is this bitmap, and it is the entire size of the display. So the bitmap is this entire whole rectangle here. And these circles that are drawn within it just represent pixels inside that bitmap, right? Inside that two-dimensional array of indexes, we have filled in the indexes to make these circles. Is this live? It's not. It died again. We have filled in the indexes to make these circles. But it's important to understand, too, we don't have objects. So after we call draw circle like this, we cannot do anything like circle.x, equals circle.x plus 10 or whatever, right? Like we don't have it. This object doesn't exist for us to manipulate after the fact. If we did, for instance, want to try to move this circle, we would need to draw over it wherever it's at back to the background color, and then we would need to draw a new one at a different location. And then like visually to the user, that would appear as though the circle moved, but technically what happened is the old circle got covered with the background color and the new circle got drawn in the new location. But yeah, that's one of the things that's like fundamentally different about this bitmap tools here, is that we're simply, the way I think of it is like we're simply stamping a stamp inside the bitmap. Like we stamp it there, and then like once it's in there, there's no object that represents just that part we stamped. We have only the full bitmap, and it now has different pixels in it. But there's not an object that represents just that thing we stamped. After you call this, it is in there, and you don't really have a way of like referencing it anymore as its own circle. Yeah, vector IO would make it an object. Also, the shapes library would make it an object as well. And it's just different use cases, I think. I think all of the different possible use cases have upsides and downsides. And there's situations where I would grab different solutions in order to fit with the scenario that it's in. Creating a bitmap. Yeah, we're creating, just the full screen bitmap, and then we're like, I think of it as we're stamping these circles inside of it. Almost like the turtle library in a way. Yeah, a little bit different than that one. Okay, oh my god, the browser windows again. Full screen bitmap is a neat idea. Yeah, It can be. So some device like the Piportal Titano or some of these devices with the huge screens, it's not always as good to have that full screen bitmap in memory. Sometimes it will eat up all your available RAM. That's the other nice thing though about these TFTs is they have a crap load of RAM. They also have a relatively small screen. This one's got a cat hair on it. They have a relatively small screen though, so that especially, I thought it died again. I was like, are you serious? Especially in relation to the amount of RAM they have, they can hold, honestly, I think they could hold a couple of times over bitmaps of the entire screen. They have a lot of RAM. Actually, kind of crazy. Cool. All right. Honestly, those are the ones that I had in mind. I don't actually have any others. We made it through all the ones that I had in mind. Ethernet, Steam API, draw circle. We do only have a few minutes left. I was interested by this one. I don't really know what it does, though. Why did line go away? That seems weird. I don't really know how Ducky works. I've never played with Ducky. Ah, sadness. No cipher. Okay. Seems like a weird thing to trademark to me, but none of my business. Bash Bunny? Hmm. Boy, I was hoping for like a bit of a higher level, like what is this thing? I know generally speaking it's like a keyboard spoofing thing, but that is about the extent of what I know about it. $80. Whew. I could definitely see why people want to use microcontrollers for that. Okay. So the hardware is it's a physical device. They released a physical device, but that device has software on it that allows it to consume these basic like almost bash or batch file type things basically. So I assume it can do things like I assume check for buttons, like in this case it could know when these buttons are pressed and it could send whatever other keyboard commands when that happens. Definitely second this. Don't do anything illegal. Okay, so then this PR now is rewrite the loop to be non-blocking. Curious about line though. Should line have disappeared? Loop line. Getting line in here now. Hmm. The examples look like. You already, well, I guess probably yes, right? It's called loop. Surely it's already calling that inside the loop? Yeah, okay, fair enough. I was gonna say, like, that's kind of an extreme change to the API if you didn't used to have to call this, but you do, it is actually still calling it there, so. Loop. Actually, it doesn't really change the API at all. My gosh. Seriously. Here, I've been here the whole time. I feel like I get like a song and a half before it's like, are you still there? It's crazy. Would this matter that this used to be R strip and it now is not R strip? And also, could it matter that this used to not have a space, but now it does? Don't know. We'll have to try this out. Let me catch up over here. Jesus, I'm pretty far behind here, actually. Since keys, let me, yeah, sorry, yeah, thank you. It looks like folks were actually answering my questions as well. I never thought I'd ever need to use a CSV library. And that available made my life so much easier. Better to have more tools than not enough for sure with that. I'll definitely agree to that. Another great tool in CircuitPython Arsenal. Since keys according to the Ducky script, started out using 3.5 Featherwing for the NRF. Oh yeah. Yeah, you would have been really tight on RAM, I assume then. Yeah. Made their own format Ducky script. A lot of renewed interest in Ducky again, probably because the chips become available. That could be. Case a big influx of people asking about it 1.5 years ago when a YouTuber made a video about Pico Ducky. Go. Particular people asking for non-US keyboards is why I got involved. Neardoc is the king of non-US keyboard layouts. Yeah. Yeah, I have pointed countless people towards that repo. I don't even know how many people I've pointed there. A few already. It's one of the more common questions, I would say. Especially during that period when the Ducky did get popular, when the Pico came out, or that video around it. I do recall that picking up quite a bit around then, as far as like, that was like probably almost once a day or something. We were helping point somebody there at that time. Okay. Yep. Yeah, because by default it does US layout only. But Neardoc has expanded. All right, I think we're going to call it there. I will test this out later on. I might try this tomorrow morning, or I might get into some other stuff. I got some other stuff in mind that I kind of want to tinker with as well, so maybe we'll do that. But it'll kind of depend on how I feel in the morning, truthfully. So if you are interested in more content like this, you can find some more tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. I'll be back. I'll be on my own channel instead of the Adafruit channel, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. It'll be me here working on CircuitPython stuff, pretty similar to how I was doing today. So that'll be tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. If you want to watch that, you can either follow me on Twitch, FoamyGuy_Twitch, or you can follow me on YouTube as well if you want. I think it's just YouTube Foamy Guy. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure on the YouTube one, though. Either way, I'll say I drop links in the live broadcast chat, so if you don't want to follow me, that's totally cool as well, but you do want to watch along, just head back to the live broadcast chat on the Discord in the morning around 10 a.m. Central Time. I'll drop the links right in there, and you can follow them and watch along. Also, Pico Ducky added the web UI. Oh, that's pretty sweet. Able to modify your script through the web interface, I assume. So yep, I'll be back in the morning. We'll be working on some more fun stuff. I hope everybody has a good night tonight and a good rest of your weekend. Thanks again to Annotated NearDoc, everybody who helped me out earlier with the hex, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some other stuff as well. Got help from a couple of folks during the stream, so definitely appreciate all of you. Appreciate everyone that's watching